I'm happy to be here. I am going to show you a tool that I love, Read and Write with Google. I always say when I present about this particular topic, if there's no other tool that your district can afford, they should afford Read and Write because it is great, not just to help kids with accessibilities, which is its main functionality, but for correcting for you, especially digitally. And I'll show you a couple of tricks on how to do that as well. So you do, I assume, have the Read and Write extension. And so Karen's nodding her head, so I'm going to say yes. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I have a little bit of a tab problem, so don't be surprised if you see 5 million of them. So here we go. And I'm actually going to sign in on my other device too, which I didn't even think of earlier, so I can see your faces when I move over, which if you're not live streaming, I don't know if you are, that helps to have that other little device, but we pop in.
And while Colleen is doing that, if you do not see the Read-Write extension up in your Chrome browser, you can go to the Chrome store and you can add it. It is one of our we definitely pay for it this year, and it's going to be something that we continue even after this pandemic year, just because it is such a great resource and tool. And I'll put a link in the chat on how to get to it if you don't have it.
I will go over it as well, Karen, so don't worry, but agreed, it is just one of those tools that I'm in CCONC, but prior I was in Mashpee and really pushed and advocated for it in Mashpee, and our superintendent there was like, oh, absolutely, I can totally see the benefit, and in CCONC, they already had it, so I was really thrilled. But it's a great tool. If you don't know, it's this great little purple puzzle piece that for a long time used to just hang in the balance sometimes, and it could be a little annoying, but its annoyance is great because it's got this amazing toolbar that comes across that will help you do some incredible things. So I'm going to show you what that's all about today, not Valentine's. And thanks, Karen. Sorry. So I have this little tab right here that's got everything ready for today. So if you'd like to join the presentation, you can. You can actually type in, whoops, I hit it, bit.ly, so it's bit, I meant to take that out, the bit.ly /3AKGCGE. And I'm going to put this right in the chat for you to make it even easier so you can just pop right in. So you can just click it from here. That doesn't do it, I actually think. It might not. Alrighty. And see some of you are getting right in there. Let me hyperlink it. I don't think I did. So this, and I'm popping right around here, I guess, is the presentation. It has in there a whole bunch of resources for you. That doesn't see, oh, there it goes. That's hyperlinked now. So it has a whole bunch of resources for you in the presentation, and I'll go through with you. I'll show you how to find those different resources, but just so you can get in there, here's the link. You want to type it in or grab it from the chat. I'll give you a second to get into the presentation because you'll have this to rely on later. It's going to show you everything that you need in order to find the extension, how it functions. There's some YouTube videos to show you how each of the tools works. There's a whole bunch. So we'll just take a couple minutes on that. And I've added the link in elsewhere, so if you need it again later or if somebody comes in late, it will be on another slide. So let's get busy. So Karen, mentioned that we go way back. Just to throw it out there, Karen's the Thelma to my Louise. We may have a picture going down to Miami Beach in a convertible together. Is that right, Karen? So we have lots of fun together. But we are actually in a group together for tech directors and instructional tech directors, and that's how we met. And it's great because we all learn together, and I do recommend connecting and learning with everyone you can. So I put on here, Read and Write is the most powerful assistive tech tool. It is. It is for any student. They do not have to have a special ed IEP. They do not need to be on a 504. They can be a regular ed student and find benefit to Read and Write. And that's one of the things that I love about this tool, is because it is for anyone. This is to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what it can do. Text to speech, so you can hear words. You're seeing some highlights on the page, and I'll talk about how you can highlight and set up vocabulary pages, or you can help to find evidence in text. You can do so many things with the highlighting feature. You can have documents read aloud. You can use the voice to text, which is also in Google Docs, to type. There are text and picture dictionaries. There's writing and proofreading tools, word prediction, collection of highlighting for summarizing and research. As I said, there's just so many tools, but this gives you just a little bit of an idea of what it can do for you. So I'm going to go through kind of what the tools are, and then we'll play a little too. So this is the toolbar, which is the picture across the center of the page that you get when you use the actual tool. And each one individually does something different. And when you move your cursor over that toolbar, which I don't have open at the moment, this is just a picture of it. Each one will tell you what its name is and what to do. So if you do not have the Chrome extension, I know Karen put it in the chat, but also here I have hyperlinked so that you can get out to the Chrome Web Store, which is how you add an extension to your Chrome, which these are extensions right here. And I know Norton, like Seekonk, has a separate one that you authorize. So I'm assuming Chrome is the Google Read and Write is here. I didn't realize I didn't hyper it in. So you can just type here on the left. And this is how you can do this for any extension at all. So Read and Write. It's right here. No, you don't see anything here because I already have the extension. But if it was one I didn't have, it would say add to Chrome. So here it is. So see where it says installed? Instead here, it would say add to Chrome, and I would just click it and allow. But I already have it. It's right here. And if you do as well, you'll get the same information. If you haven't, please install it, because this is a tool that you will get a lot out of. What I have here on this slide is just an infographic. So this tells you what each of those tools are. And I tried to find two different ways to show you this, because I think it can be a little overwhelming. But if you have this to look back at, you can see not only what it is, but a little information about each of the tools. And we'll come back to this. So these are some of the things that it can do. Just pretty amazing. It's also connected with Google directly, which is why it's called Read and Write for Google. So this tool here, as well as this one, will make actually separate Google documents to help function with what it needs to. So you'll see how neat it is. And this is the other way I broke this down, because sometimes it's easier for folks to see it this way. So they're numbered in exact order as to what the item is. So whatever's easier for you so you can have that infographic. We're going to go through some of the settings to show you how they work and what controls you have over some of those tools. And then we're going to try it out. So let me come out of this. I'm going to back up a little bit. And I want to show you, like I said, this little sharing thing here. When I move my cursor down here at the bottom, it switches to like a hand. I can move my slide up, and underneath are some resources that you're going to find really helpful for you. So here is a blog that was created called Read About ELL for your ELLs, because this is super helpful for any of you that are taking SEI or have English language learners in your class. Read and Write is super helpful, and this kind of goes over what tools you might want to check into and how this can help your students. So that is right into one of the resources that are available for you here. And another is this one. And this shows you how to get Read and Write on your own. So if you needed the free version, but you don't need it because your district already pays for it, but I wanted to have it available just in case. So you can bypass that one. This is how you can get the Chrome Web Store. And what I found this one is to be most helpful because it gives you a printable PDF. So you can print this out, and if I had you in front of me, I probably would have printed this out for all of you. What I like about it is you can keep it and hang it up in your classroom or keep it with you so that you can share it with your students, or even share it with your students in your Google Classroom as one of your resources so they know how to use it, but keep it on hand. It walks you through each of the little icons and what they do. And when you have Read and Write, you also have this right here, which is, you'll notice that's other Chrome extension. It just opens and looks like it's just information, but it's actually the PDF reader. So it helps you to manipulate a PDF so that you can, you know, change it, alter it, have the kids write in it, and I can go through a little of that if we have a little time, which I think we will. But just so you know, that tool right here is very helpful. You can see on the side that I have 5 pages. This is the last page. And what it's great. I just strongly urge you to print it out. And here you have also some helpful videos, which I've included. So this one is right here. It's basically a playlist of all of the tools. So there's so many resources for you to come back to be able to remember. I know your professional development, you walk away and you're like, how did I do that tool? How did that work? So I try to embed as much in here so you have that resource to come back to. And under here, under the first infographic, is this live binder. It's like a live notebook or a digital notebook of information on Read and Write. So lots of different ways that you can use the tools. So it's not just about the tool, but what do I do with it? So I know there's a really cool vocabulary tool, but now what do I do with it? Or voice notes, which is what you're going to use to correct with. You really want to be able to take a look at that. And again, that's right in your spread, the slides right underneath the infographic, and Karen just popped it in the chat for you. So you have 2 places to get it. And I would recommend opening those up and taking a look. Hey, Karen, did you put in the quick reference guide as well?
I did. And the
Okay,
playlist,
great.
just so you know, the playlist, the YouTube playlist is on our PD. I must have anticipated you were going to share it, Colleen, because I put
See?
it on the like additional resources page of the PD website.
See why she's my Thelma? She's predicting. Okay, so yeah, those resources will be really helpful for you. And I have it under here as well, the YouTube site. So there's definitely places where you can find everything you could possibly need. And then here we have the settings, which I'll come back to. Nothing under there, I don't think. So, and again, these are all under here, so you can certainly take a look at another time. So let's stop and take a look at how does this amazing tool actually work. So I talked all about it. It's got a whole lot there. What does it do? So what I did is I put together this document, and I will pop it in the chat for you so you can have it as well and see. But this is just a test tool. So I actually took it right off of a website for the science of snowflakes. So I wanted you to see that this works even when there's hyperlinks or on websites. But I have opened my Read and Write tool, so I can close it, or I can click on the puzzle piece and open it. And one of the most commonly used programs or icons, I should say, are these three right here. This will talk to the text to you, and given this virtual world or having Chromebooks in front of us, kids with a headset and having the document read to them, nobody else knows around them that this is happening. So it's a really neat tool, especially these days. This is our pause button, and this is stop. So let me show you how it works.
The Science of Snowflakes lesson. This TED video gives kids.
So it will read it to you. Right.
PBS Learning Media's Physics of Snowflakes lesson provides a fun activity for exploring the fascinating science of how snowflakes form.
So I can either put the cursor at the beginning of the document or anywhere on the document like I had done, and it's going to read it for me. It will continually read if I want it to. So I can, let's pop it right here. I want to start reading.
The Science of Snowflakes lesson.
It's picking up the whole thing.
TED video gives kids a brief.
And then I can pause because I need to change the speed of the actual voice. I need it a little slower. So how do I do that? So that was my pause, which would allow me to continue once I hit pause again, or this would stop it altogether. So I'm going to change this speed. So these three dots is that settings. So if you look at this one that I pointed out, what I have here is open, but see the three dots and the little caret. If I come back to my document here, here's my three dots, here's my little caret, options. This is going to be the piece that's going to be very helpful. So you can open it up, and this is the speed. This is where you can change the person's voice. So if you don't like that particular person, or if you need it in another language, you have options here. So we're going to keep it, well, here, we'll go with Australian English, and we're going to slow it down.
The Science of Snowflakes lesson.
So it's really slow. And also you can hear that Australian accent. Well, that's a little too slow. Again, I can come back to the three dots here. I'm going to options, and I'm going to speed it up because, whoa, that was way too slow. So I'm going to go super fast so you can hear the difference. Click play.
The Science of Snowflakes lesson. This TED video gives.
So it's a little fast. I don't know about you, but I can't read that
It's a brief,
fast.
insightful overview of how snowflakes form with accompanying discussion questions.
But for some kids, they can do that. So it does allow for that option of really slowing it down or controlling it for the students that need a little time. It also lets them stop and play so they can rehear things if they need. So here is, you've got some other controls. So if you wanted to stop continuous reading and just let it work on certain areas that you want to highlight and read, you want to come into your options and uncheck this box. Otherwise, it will just keep reading until you stop. But you have each of these features, prediction, which I'll show you, check it, screen masking, all of them have additional controls inside. The most important is going to be your language and then your speed, of course, so that you can have it read to you in the way that you want. So let's go through these tools. So that gives you these three. So our play button, which is typically how that looks, our pause, and our stop. This is one of the tools, and let me just take a moment and make a couple errors. And we'll take out a period here. Let's see if we can change. Let's see. So let's see what happens. So when I come to check it, which is the little check sign, see how it had, when I hover, it gives me its title. So if I can't remember, check it will check my document. See how it underlines in purple? That lets me know I have to do something to this. I don't know what, it doesn't tell me, which is great. It doesn't fix the problem for you, but it certainly identifies that you need to go back and figure it out. And in this case, like TED Ed, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. So I know I have to come back in here and I've got to capitalize that T. I've got to change the spelling of discussion. And of course, when I click on it, it gives me opportunities to do that. So these are from, in this little box, are from Read and Write. The one above is Google. And we know PBS Learning Media is also one word, so that's correct. But otherwise, that's how Check It works. That will come in handy for you and for the kids. We have what's called predict, which is the next one here. So what's predicting is where to start your next sentence. Or it could be also predict within the middle, and it's going to give me some words that I could have used. And if I hover over it,
reinforce,
it's reading it, it's not doing anything. So it's helping a student try to figure out what would be the next words that may be a struggling writer. It's helpful to have prediction. And you can open more than one at a time. And I know it's open because it's gray, but it also has that purple line under it. So I can just undo it by clicking it again. Now this one is a book, but it's actually the dictionary. Let's open the dictionary. And we're going to open this one, which is the image, but it's actually the picture dictionary. So I'm a student and I'm having a little trouble with this word. As soon as I highlight it with those open, it's going to give me the definition, and sometimes like this, it doesn't have an image, but I'll show you some that do. And it has the play button.
Insightful. Adjective. Exhibiting insight or clear and deep.
So I can have it play the definition to me. So I may not know the word, but when I play that definition, then I can figure it out. So let's try one more for the visual. Let's try elementary and see if we can get an image. Oh, interesting. No image, I'm surprised. There's students. So it doesn't have every word, which is important to know, but it has a lot that can help to show you. And the more you use it, the better it's getting. So it does help to figure out what it looks like. Okay, so now it looks like, but what exactly is that? So if I come back up and open my dictionary again, here's my students. Oh, it's a noun.
Noun. Someone who is following a course of study, if this is at primary or secondary.
There we go. It can also be done in the use of a website too. So as I said, here's TED Ed, and if I wanted to, it closes because I had it open on the dock, but if I want to open up for here, open my purple puzzle piece, and I'm going to click play. Put my cursor in there. Come on. try again.
Let's-
There we go.
One could say that snowflakes are simply frozen water, but if you compare a snowflake.
So we'll even read a website to the students. And that's really so helpful. So let's say I have a word I'm not sure of. Here's my dictionary. Oh, it picked up one. It changed my cursor, sorry. Simply.
Simply. Adverb.
So
Simply is used
I
to.
think that's important because it tends to be the websites too that the kids get caught up on. We may be able to make the accommodations in the documents that we're sharing, but maybe not in the website. So know that the tool is still available there. And if you want to find out more about the science of snowflakes, this is probably a good website for you to try. And the same thing with the physics of snowflakes. So it doesn't matter. The only things I've come across where it sometimes doesn't work is on a downloadable book. But that's only been once or twice, I think. So usually any format, it's pretty good at picking up. It has to be OCR for if you have scanned in something for it to be read. And OCR is optical character recognition, and it's the way that you copy the document. And most are pretty good at picking up all the letters, and that's how it uses that optical character recognition in order to read a document. So if it ever becomes an issue, I would use your screen capture reader, which I'm going to show you next, to help you if for some reason that little play button doesn't work for you. So here's our screenshot reader. And this is great. Karen, that's a question to you. Do all the kids in the district have it? Great. So the kids have this too. And I will tell you, I was in a 7th grade class a couple years ago, and there were 2 AP kids in the back of the classroom. So the 7th graders were learning about read and write, and the 2 AP kids were in the back, and they were like, what? I have to read so much, and you can't find this stuff on audiobook. Had I just turned on my play button, I could have listened to all the stuff I have to read, even as an AP student. So it should be available to every single student. It's super helpful. So anyway, back to our screenshot reader here. If I, for some reason, this wouldn't work, all I have to do is take this, turn on there, and I'm going to screenshot. My little screenshot's not working. It should take a screenshot of it and read it to you. So what we're going to do is do our own little screenshot and see, since it's not doing itself. So it becomes like an image, and then it still doesn't want to. Okay, so we're having a little trouble with our screenshot reader. Sometimes tech is tech. It doesn't want to work. Usually you take a screenshot, you turn on screenshot reader, which is not even turning purple. Oh, there it goes. Is it going to read? And it will read it for you.
PBS Learning Media's
see, it's
Physics of
not picking it up.
Snowflakes lesson.
So my apologies, but typically if you have a document that doesn't pick it up, or if you have a picture with text underneath it, it usually is attached to that picture. Using the screenshot reader usually works today, not so much. So something to play around with at another time. Before I'm going to come back to these two because they're pretty neat. This is really helpful. I know when I first, I was teaching a few years back, we used a program that had these little blue rulers that you put over the words to help the kids read. This kind of works the same way. It's called the screen mask. And it helps to focus the students' eyes over the reading so that they can better understand and pay attention and focus on their following along rather than dragging their finger across the page. This helps them to keep their eyes focused. This little settings wheel will bring you back up to where those 3 dots are, or I'll open it right here. And you can change the background. See how it changes the background of my document? I can also change my reading color for low vision folks. Some colors work better depending on their eyes. So that's really important to change some of those, the backgrounds You can even see how that changes the background of the image. Some it's red, lots of folks it's a blue color that seems to be easier on the eyes. Here's your reading light. So what that does is just change my mask. So let's see, so you can get an idea. So it changes the mask so it's not as bright. For some folks, that's really helpful. I really like the light for myself, but that's just me. So you can play around with these to see what works. Even the height, see how that expands what you're focusing your eyes at. So it's all of these tools that can help you with the screen masking. So think of those students that maybe have some difficulty, but just doing simple changes can really make the difference. And they can simply just make these adjustments themselves. All right, so that's screen masking. That's this little one that looks like the computer. We're going to come back to talk and type. Is there an audio scroll? Auto scroll, is that what you said? I'm sorry, I missed that. No, there isn't an auto scroll. You do have to scroll yourself with your mouse. That's a good question, but it does help. You're welcome. Okay. Back to that little document. So let's say I need to translate this because I'm an English language learner and I don't understand a couple of the words, accompanying. So I need to have it read to me in a different language. It won't do the whole document, but it will translate a word. So here's this little guy that's the translator. So accompanying, well, it's not
Accompanying.
It's not going to change the language unless I come on over here, again, to my three dots where those options are, and I'm going to come to language. So from English to, I can change this to Spanish, or let's try Portuguese. Okay. So let's come back out here, try that again. Whoop.
Accompanying.
That didn't change it.
Accompanying.
Let's try that again. Do it the other way.
Accompanying.
Maybe there's no word. That's funny.
Discussion.
It usually just quickly changes. I love all these errors that are happening. But it changed my options. Do you notice that's in Portuguese? So even that will help you too. If you're not sure, or if you have a student that needs all of the, even the supports or the options in their language, you can do that as well. So let's try options again. Let's see, features. I'm not sure why it's not picking it up. Huh. Okay, well, I'm going to skip over that, but it does translate typically a word. We'll have to come back to it. I'm not sure. Two of those are not working. One of my favorite things that I really like about this are these highlighting tools here. These are great for kids having to do a vocabulary list for words that they need to learn, making sure they understand them. So if I'm going to have them get to know certain vocabulary words that are going to come up in their reading, I'm going to click on a word and I'm going to highlight. And it does not matter which color highlighter you use. You can mix it up. You can use all the same. Doesn't matter. But I want them to understand a couple of these words for the work that we're doing with this. So water cycle. So I'm going to just choose 3 of these. And I'm going to come up here to these lines, and it's called vocabulary. And what it's going to do is what it's saying is a new document's going to be made. And there it is. It takes the words that you highlight, and typically it puts in a meaning, a symbol, and then you can add notes if you want. but it's not putting in my meaning. It's a great way for the kids to start to understand what it is. It creates that vocabulary list, but just like any document, it will call it vocabulary list untitled. So you would probably want to come over here and have them title it snow lesson or what have you. And these are some words that we're going to be working on this week. See if they can come up with their own meaning, but typically it does make one, so we're going to try that again. And how I can try that again is I just need to get rid of these words. So I can highlight the document and use my little broom and sweep them away. So let's try brief. We'll keep them simple because it may be my Wi-Fi that they're not showing up for whatever reason. Because I just reviewed them yesterday to make sure they all worked. So here it is. Is that new documents being made? And in a moment, it will pop up. There it comes. And there it is. Now it's working. Oh, and in my language I chose. So I chose that to be in Brazilian. When I went into my features, it wouldn't work on my translator word, but it is now. That's probably why it didn't work. So it's showing me science. And if I come back, and I change this little language back to English. Oh, it's in French. Okay. And then I can create that again. You're going to see it in English. So think of different tools that you're doing. If you have kids write sentences for vocabulary, you need them to know certain vocabulary. That's why it wasn't working, because I had it on French. But here is different meanings. Here are some pictures to go along with those meanings for kids, for brief, science. And just like the dictionary, sometimes it won't have images for it, even in the vocabulary list. But that's a good way for you to say, okay, you go find an image that will match this word to help enforce the understanding of the word. And oftentimes folks will write sentences here to go along with the word or add in other activities that you want them to do. So I really like this feature. I think it's pretty helpful. And again, I want to get rid of all those highlights. I just use my broom and sweep it away. Now, the other thing is this little collection of highlights. One of the best ways that I've used this is you always have kids have to go back to a document and they have to provide evidence when they're answering a question. I mean, we all do this for MCAS, but I want them to find 2 pieces of evidence to support the science of snowflakes. So that's my question. So we're going to pretend that this is one of the evidence. So I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to click pink. And again, same thing. It doesn't matter what color you use, but here's my second piece of evidence. And this too, and I'm going to hit my little collection. And again, it doesn't matter here. That comes up later. I'll show you what that means. It makes a document. This document with these 2 highlighted pieces are the evidence the student needs. So someone who has a really hard time pulling that out and then bringing it to another document, it does it for them. So then the student can add all the information around the evidence that's found for them, and it makes it a little bit easier. If they forget, they can always click here and it brings them back to the original document and it keeps it right next to it. So it's nice because I can say, okay, so a brief insightful overview of snowflakes form suggests whatever as my evidence. Great question, Robert. So it's happening automatically. So if you didn't see the chat, Robert just asked, how am I creating a document? It's actually happening automatically. So just by selecting this one for the vocabulary, it makes the document, or this one, it creates the document. And again, it's titled highlights untitled. You'd have to go back and change this as like snowflake lesson or lesson number 3 or whatever you're doing. but it makes it for you. You don't even have to think about it. Just click the button and it happens. You just highlight, and from those highlights, that's what it does. It pulls it over. So this is good because it shows who created the document. Wow was right, Robert. See, I told you that's why I love it. And it shows you who created it. This is the original document, and those are the highlights. And I do love when you click that, it now stays, it didn't always, it stays right with you so you can see that original. So we'll close that out. So again, that was just, I highlighted here and I selected this little collection, and that's how I made that document. The other thing you can do with that one, and I'm gonna highlight and sweep it, is you can ask the kids to go through and highlight all the verbs in blue, all the adjectives in green, all the nouns in red or pink, and you can go through and do that for them, and then it can help to, they'll categorize them by position. So if I click on, so my nouns, we'll do green. We're going to do, here we'll do another one, green, and we'll do an adjective, or let's do verbs. Hello. Oh, I picked the wrong color for my water, so that should be green. So when I have them do that, I can ask them to come on over to the collect, and you have position or color. So you can organize it by color, because I said green for the noun and yellow for the verbs. And then when I click OK, you see how it pops up? A new document containing your highlights are there, and it puts them together. So as the teacher, you can quickly look and see if they got it right. So that's a good way for helping kids, you know, identifying words. So you can figure out that for any category you want, because it's just how you set up the color and what you want it to look like that is the way it comes across. And again, it brings you right back to that original document like it did before.
Colleen, I just want to clarify, when you click on that,
Yep.
It not only creates the document automatically, but then it opens the document automatically, correct?
It can open the original document. Is that what you're asking?
No. So like when this document like that you're sharing right now, you created that from your highlights. Like when you clicked that collector, it said that it was making it, but did you click on that, or did it just automatically opened after it was done making it, correct?
Yep. Do you want to see it again? I can make another one.
Nope, it's okay. We have about 8 minutes, so.
Okay, so it's just a way it happens automatically. Karen's correct. You don't do anything. You just have to be patient. Sometimes I expect it faster, but it only takes a couple seconds. And as you saw, it makes that document right away. So it's really helpful. Timing. Okay, so a couple other things that I want to quickly show you is this one is called Audio Maker. So let me go back to that original document here, and I'm going to remove my little highlights. So what this does is I'm keeping this highlighted, and I'm going to click here, and I'm not doing anything. It happened itself, okay? And what it did is it made, if you can see down at the bottom of my screen, a little MP3, an audio recording of my typing. Super helpful. Kids writing a paper for you or a writing assignment, and they don't listen to how it sounds, and it helps for editing. So they just had to highlight, again, click this little guy that looks like an old Walkman from way back. It makes the MP3, you open it up, and listen now. And in a second, it's going to play back to me. Oh, I got an error. it's going to play back to me that actual recording, but sorry, and I don't have time to fix it because it was doing this yesterday and then it worked. It will play the audio for you of the actual writing. And what's that, again, what's that really good for is doing the editing. If we can have time, I can come back and fix it. But no, that's helpful for that. This is lookup, or really it just takes you to the to a website about your lesson. It brings you to the Science of Snowflakes lesson. Here it is right here, my wording, and it brings you to the information that you need. So it keeps you guided, brings me right back to the original. This video is included in that information. So that's a quick lookup right here. I showed you this screen. Let's see. And now this is another favorite. But before I come back to that, this one is extra. We do not pay for it as part of our read and write, but it is a fluency checker. You may have it. I do not know. But basically it does the same thing. It will just, as they type, it will go back and check their fluency and understanding. This one here is called video notes. What I love about this is, as a teacher, to correct. So if I'm going to give a student feedback, I just open that little note. I've got 1 minute to give them a little feedback. Great job on this. I like how you started it off and the details you included. Stop, insert. I'm not doing anything again. You can see my colors running across the page right here. It's creating my information and it's inserting. And it will look, once it's done, it's taking a little time because my Wi-Fi is a little rough at home. But once it's done, it'll create a play button like you added a comment to the doc. And it's great. You didn't have to type. It's quicker correcting. It's a good way to give feedback. There it is. So here it is. And you can see it as words, or when I hover over it, it becomes that play. Great job on this. I like how you started it off and the details you included. And the student can still even send information back to me if they want, but they immediately get feedback. Saves you hours of typing and writing back to them. So I do suggest, if you're correcting papers, use the little voice note. Right. So those are all of our tools. I know we just have about 4 minutes. Questions. What is something that you're thinking about? What do you want to know? What do you want to see again? And if you're not sure, I mean, it's a lot of information to throw at you. That's why I tried to pack that slideshow so that you had those resources for yourself. But what do you have for questions? If anything.
I just have a comment. I think this is great. I mean, I didn't even know it contained all of these features. And so even in my head, I'm kind of brainstorming how I can utilize this because I'm going to be co-teaching an English class this upcoming semester. So this is great. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're going to find that it's incredibly helpful. For sure, with all of the features. And if you have trouble and you want to, reach out to me at any time, I'm more than happy to spend time with you, even individually. So, and I have on here all of my information, so you can reach out at any time. My email's on here. You can catch me on Twitter or what have you. One thing we didn't go over is this is all about the PDF reader that you do have. So spend some time with it. It shows you it's already installed. If it's not installed, it shows you how to install it. And then this is just how to use it. And it's got some of those same features that you had before with a PDF. Other
Colleen,
questions?
There is a question in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, it has speech to text. Yes, it does have that. Which is actually one of the features I did not show you, now that you're saying that. So if I add in this one, that's the only one I missed. It looks just like Google Docs, see? It is typing, I'm not doing anything, I'm just speaking, period, new paragraph. I had a great time with all of you. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you utilize this Read and Write tool, period, new paragraph. It works the same way as if you're voice texting on your phone, period. And to stop it, I just come back over here and I can click here, or I can click the little headphone. But right in a Google Doc, you have this here. Voice typing works the exact same way. So just know that tool's there. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Other questions? Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your lunch. We'll share the recording once it is completed.